a grim start in year 2 as viewership craters. Damn. Unrivaled, the nascent 3-on-3 Women's Basketball League is off to a shaky start in its second year. The league, which has a slated goal of providing elite women's basketball players, an alternative to...
The numbers you just heard are not a typo. Unrivaled, the 3-on-3 competition, which was intended to transform women's basketball, is losing spectators at an alarming rate. We're talking about a 75% decrease in some time slots. From 175,000 viewers on opening night to 71,000 by the second weekend for a league sponsored by TNT and featuring some of the biggest stars in women's basketball. Those are devastating figures. But here's what makes this story interesting. This isn't simply about poor ratings. This is about a clash of three conflicting views for the future of women's basketball. Unrivaled is attempting to keep players in the United States throughout the offseason. You have this mysterious Project B that promises global tournaments and higher payouts. And the Wnba is now proposing the most aggressive expansion in league history.
According to a report by Front Office Sports, on Wednesday, Unrivaled's opening slate of games on January 5th averaged just 175,000 viewers across TNT and truTV. 2 additional games on opening day that only aired on truTV averaged 32,000 viewers. From there, the numbers have...
Let's put that into perspective. The finest product on the court. When asked about the poor ratings, Unrivaled CEO Alex Bezel told Front Office Sports this. Meanwhile, social media is inundated with videos showing the Miss and Breeze going 1 for 26 from the three-point line. Blooper reels include players colliding with one another. Madam, there are technical difficulties with the microphones. This is year 2. Remember, this was supposed to be the season in which Unrivaled demonstrated that the concept works. Instead, they are being crushed by TGL. That made for the TV Golf League, which is pulling 3 or 4 times. Unrivaled crowd. Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy hitting golf balls indoors are attracting 4 times as many viewers as Breanna Stewart and Nafi Sakia playing basketball. Let that sink in.
Let's go to the part we all want to know. Quote, "We're building Unrivaled for the long game, and we're confident in our outlook, keeping in mind the same core principles and goals we set forth when establishing the league," Unrivaled CEO Alex Bezel told Front Office Sports. "We're proud of the product we're putting on the court each week and are going to continue growing our audience while showcasing the best women's basketball players in the world."
This is where corporate reality becomes tough. Unrivaled has a 6-year media rights agreement with TNT. However, there's an escape clause. If the league fails to acquire traction, TNT has the option to exit after 3 years. We're in year 2, and the traction isn't simply missing. The league is aggressively falling backward, and the time could hardly be worse. TNT's parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, is now in the midst of a complicated sale process. Netflix and Paramount are both circling, attempting to acquire the company. When new ownership takes over, they will look at every asset on the books and ask one basic question. Is this making or costing us money?
Dare I say. The Breeze and the Mist, when it combined 1 for 26 from the three-point line. I'm looking on Twitter and I'm seeing bloopers of these. They're still falling all over each other. We're still doing the mic and I don't know what's going on.
Here's a little-known fact about Netflix. They enjoy prestige content. They enjoy stuff that sparks social discourse and awards talk. Even if the actual viewership is low, Unrivaled fulfills the bill nicely. It is progressing. It focuses on females. It's got some major names attached. Netflix would undoubtedly place this behind a paywall and promote it as part of their sports expansion. However, Paramount is in cost-cutting mode. They want to cut costs, not acquire a vanity project that attracts 70,000 viewers. If Paramount wins a bidding war for Warner Brothers Discovery, Unrivaled is likely dead. When that opt-out clause is triggered, these players are forced to hunt for other places to play over the summer.
Paramount will probably get Unrivaled the bleep out of here. I gotta be honest. Paramount would most likely get Unrivaled the bleep out of here. Netflix, on the other hand, they'd probably like a message like Unrivaled to be on their platform. I'm just being honest.
Which leads us to Project B. And here's where things get really interesting. Project B could be the most questionable undertaking in professional sports right now. They announced a few players in December, then stayed silent for several weeks. Then, out of nowhere, they released the Tokyo tournament dates. March 26th to April 4th. There are no venue details, broadcast partners, or ticket information, only dates. The entire situation stinks of a money laundering scheme masquerading as a sports league. Consider who advertises tournament dates before they disclose essential operational facts. Who pledges to pay great athletes without demonstrating that they have the infrastructure to hold games.
Something tells me that Project B is not going to be getting the top players. Just, if there is a Project B, just something tells me the top... I don't know. It just reeks of scam to me. It reeks of, let me just wash some money off real quick. Just reeks of, let me just launder a couple... It just reeks to me. If it comes out and it's a real thing, I'll believe it. But as of right now, I'm taking everything Project B comes out with a grain of salt. Everything Project B announces, I'm taking with a grain of salt. So is it going to conflict with proposed start date? Yeah, I guess. Is there really going to be a Project B?
But assume for a moment that Project B is credible. Let's assume they intend to hold these tournaments and compensate these participants. Even then, they have a major problem. They recently announced the Tokyo dates, which are March 26th through April 4th. That will immediately conflict with the WNBA's proposed new schedule. According to sources familiar with the ongoing CBA negotiations, the WNBA intends to begin training camp as early as mid-March. The league intends to increase the number of games from 44 to 50 or 54. And if you want to add 10 games to the schedule while decreasing back-to-backs, the math is straightforward. You need more time. The season needs to begin earlier and end later. According to the current CBA, training camp began on April 27th of last season. This provided players who were overseas plenty of time to complete their international commitments and return to the United States. However, if training camp begins in mid-March, you suddenly have a conflict.
Tokyo tournament stop will start March 26th and end April 4th. The 5-on-5 league is planning a global series of tournaments in Europe, Asia, and the Americas. It's likely that the Tokyo stop will be one of the league's last before players return to the WNBA. Let me say this actually as a side note. Let's say there is a Project B. Nothing would make me happier than the WNBA owner saying, oh yeah, you're in Project B. You can't come over here late. You can play in Project B, but you're going to be here for